In this video, we will explore powerful techniques. How to read people's mind, taught by great Buddha. To read the mind of anyone, you need to master some techniques, taught by Buddha. It's crucial to master these techniques. To master these techniques, let's tell me a Buddha's tale. A tale of two brothers. Once upon a time, long times ago, there lived two brothers in a small village. The elder brother was blind. He spent most of his time at home and did not go anywhere, while the younger brother worked as farmer in fields. But their fields were constantly being destroyed by many animals. The younger brother was worried by this problem, but eventually he thought, why not? I ask my blind brother for help. He can sit in fields and shout. If he hears any animals sound in fields, by this the animals got scared and run away from fields. After thinking about it, the younger brother came to his elder brother and explained to him, "Brother, if you hear any animal sound, just shout and animals will run away. In this way our crops will be saved." The elder brother agreed to younger brother's idea and began to sit in the fields. Now, whenever he heard the sound of any animal, he started shouting to scare them. One day a king who was pursuing the deer also came in fields. The king noticed the blind brother sitting in fields. He went to the blind brother and asked, "Have you seen a deer here?" The blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, I am blind. How can I see a deer? However, I tell you that deer, whom you are chasing, is actually a pregnant deer." I have not heard a king hunting a pregnant deer, so don't waste your time. The king left astonished to hear this. He pondered, how a blind person can tell all this? How can blind man be sure whether the deer I am chasing is pregnant or not? Said to his commander, and thus instructed his commander, "I want that animal alive. I need to confirm whether the deer is pregnant or not." After some days of search, commander came back to the king and said, "Your Majesty, the blind brother was correct. That deer was pregnant." After listening it, the king was filled with wonder. He invited the blind brother at his palace and said, "Look, I may not know whether you are truly blind or not, but I have called you just to ask, will you give me the correct answer of my questions?" With respect, the blind brother said, "Your Majesty, you can ask me any question. I will answer you truthfully." The king said, "Tell me whether my wife is faithful to me or not." The blind brother responded, "What kind of question is it? Your marriage has lasted for many years, and now you are asking such things." The king said, "You have to answer it. Otherwise be ready for death penalty." Listening to this, the blind brother said, "If you want the answer of this question, you will have to do me a favor. You will have to leave your wife alone with me in a room." The king, initially angry upon hearing it, but eventually agreed to the request and left the blind brother and queen alone in a room. At that moment, the blind brother expressed his desire to touch the queen. Upon hearing this, queen started beating blind brother with her hands. Afterwards, the blind brother escaped from room and went back to king and said, "Sir, your wife is unfaithful." The king enraged and went to the queen and asked her either she is faithful or not, to which the queen replied, "I am not faithful." Upon hearing this, the king went back to blind brother and said, "You are so wise man, you know everything. Now tell me, how did you know that my wife is not faithful?" The blind brother replied, "It's so simple, sir. As I told your wife that I want to touch her. Instead she refused. She started beating me. In this way, she touched each part of my body. And how can such woman be faithful? The king then asked, "Tell me the answer of one more question. Then I will let you go from here. Tell me, am I truly my father's son, or someone else?" To this the blind brother responded, "So now you are king of a state. Now it does not matter who were you parents." But the king insisted and said, "Please answer me. Otherwise this question will always bother me." The blind brother said, "Sir, I can tell you truth, but before that you have to make a promise with me, that you would not angry with me." The king said, "I promise, I would not get angry with you. You are indeed your father's son, but also under the shadow of a miserly merchant." Upon hearing this, the king rushed to his mother and said, "Please tell me only truth. Am I truly son of my father or not? If you do not tell me the truth, I will shoot myself in front of you." To this the king's mother said, "Son, you are indeed your father child, but you are also under the shadow of a miserly merchant." The king is delighted to hear it, and went back to the blind brother. He asked, "How do you know all this?" The blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, I gave you the correct answer of each question. If there would any other king, I would have received many rewards. But you have not given a single penny to me so far. So I estimated that you are very stingy." The king said, "Whatever you asked for, I will give you. But tell me, how do you know what is right and what is wrong? How do you give right answers?" To this the blind brother said, "Your Majesty, our mind has its own language and can be seen in persons' body actions. By observing how a person's eyes, lips and body parts act, one can understand what is going on in their minds. But I am blind, so I perceive through actions. If I want to know something, and based on the actions of person, I can understand what is going on in his mind." King asks, "So does it mean I can also know someone's thoughts?" To this the blind brother said, "Yes, you can understand anyone's thoughts. But before that you need to calm your mind." Then the blind brother said, "Your Majesty, I will tell you 3 ways to easily understand anyone's thoughts. The first method is to pay attention to the eyes. When we talk to someone, because eyes do not speak, but they say a lot, we just have to learn the signals of someone's eyes. Then we can know what is going on in their mind, what they are thinking, and what they are about to do. I don't have eyes myself, but I learned this skill from Buddha many years ago. He was my teacher and I have to use eyes back then, and I could understand people's thoughts solely through their eyes. So if you also want to know thoughts of others, you should focus on their eyes, such as their gaze, where they are looking and in what direction. If their eyes are wandering here and there while talking, it means they might be lying or don't want to talk with you. If the person is avoiding direct eye contact, it means they are afraid of might be exposed. But if they had direct eye contact with you, it means they are probably honest and want to talk to you. Also observe their eyebrows, how they move. If their eyebrows goes down while talking, they might be worried about something. If their eyebrows goes up while talking, they might be surprised or curious about what you say. Second technique is facial expressions. If you pay attention to a person's facial expressions, you can easily understand the person is disappointed, happy or sad. All of this could be determined through their facial expressions. Your Majesty, the face is like a picture that shows what people feel or thought inside. If you want to understand people better, you have to pay attention to silent signs When you see someone's mouth turned down, making a small sad face means they have lost something. On the other hand, a big and real smile means they are happy and kind. Look at the space between a person's eyebrows. When it gets deeper and tighter, means they are confused and thinking hard, or try to understand something difficult or new. At seeing and understanding facial expressions will make you able to know what people are thinking. Your Majesty, you can understand everything from their face expressions. There is third language too, a language of gestures and body language. To understand the person's thoughts, we need to understand hand gestures and body language. Body language plays a significant role to understand the person's thought. When a person speaks, in addition to words, he makes gestures to convey what he is thinking inside. When someone taps fingers fast while they are talking to you, it means they are bored and are in a hurry and want to end the talk soon. When someone leans forward, means they are interested to talk with you. They want to listen, learn and understand what you are saying to them. Sometimes when people touch their faces a lot while they are talking to you, it means they're thinking hard or finding something difficult. So to be good in understanding others, you have to watch carefully and appreciate the things they do not say. These small but important signs are like a quiet book. Shows you the feeling and thoughts of others. Your Majesty, if we pay attention to these three methods and understand them correctly, we will be able to read anyone's thoughts, because a focused and peaceful mind could read anyone's thoughts.
Like, comment, and subscribe.